Fortnite was first released on July 25th, 2017, and is owned by Epic Games, which is located right here in Cary, North Carolina. This is Fortnite headquarters on Earth, if we zoomed out to the universe as we know it. What a mind-blowing thing to consider is that how everything we care about in our lives, from video games to our pets to our friends and family, have existed in such a tiny and insignificant place in the vast universe. As far as we know, it goes on forever. There is no known end to our universe. The universe is like a vast beach, filled with miracles and yet terribly destructive forces. Stars are born and die over billions of years, leaving behind mysterious black holes that destroy everything in their path, even light itself. Consider every person that has ever lived. Everything that has ever happened in human history can be found on a single grain of sand within the beach of the universe. So, who are we? What miracle gives us the ability to be with our friends, or flip on a video game? What were the key events in history that made us who we are today? And most importantly, where could we be going as a people while the universe unfolds around us? I'll do my best to be your guide through humanity in this new series, The History of Everything. Over the next few months, I'll be taking you through what I believe is the basics of human existence, how precious our lives really are, and most importantly, why knowledge matters. And yes, we'll be starting with the beginning of time itself. Many scientists now believe that before time, everything that we would become, all of the planets, stars, and all of the energy of the universe was contained within a very small ball called a singularity. Think of this ball as a container for everything that now exists in the entire universe, compressed and crushed into a tiny sphere. Then, all of a sudden, there was a massive explosion that released all of that immense energy out into the nothingness. The first stars were born. Balls of flaming rock cooled to become planets. And in some places, like here on Earth, life was eventually formed. More than 4.5 billion years ago, as our planet cooled for the first time, gases from giant volcanic eruptions collected and changed to form our atmosphere, and some of those gases, particularly hydrogen and oxygen, condensed and rained down, forming our oceans, which covered the entire planet. Other chemicals combine to form proteins, which are the building blocks of life. Those chemicals combine to make even more complex things, and eventually, tiny organisms called bacteria took form. These bacteria would change and grow over millions of years, evolving into even bigger organisms. The first aquatic life forms, such as fish, algae, and other plants, would flourish in our oceans. Later, about 320 million years ago, as the Earth began to dry, some of those creatures developed bones and skeletal structures, a feature needed to support a body out of water. And amphibians, animals that live in both the water and the land, began to emerge. As the first life on this planet crawled out of the oceans for the first time, new creatures such as reptiles and birds started to appear. As these creatures moved further and further inland, the need for gills and fins disappeared, traits no longer needed to survive on land. These animals started laying eggs on the land instead of the sea. Fast forward almost another 200 million years to the Triassic period. Enter the dinosaurs. Until just 65 million years ago, or at the end of the Cretaceous period, the evolved creatures of the Earth were ruled by the dinosaurs. Giant beasts once thought to be the ancestors of today's reptiles. But it is now believed that the dinosaurs were more closely related to birds, with some species covered with sets of feathers. One way or another, dinosaurs were at the top of the food chain. The dinosaurs continued to be the rulers of the Earth for nearly 160 million years. Dinosaurs of the time were divided into two groups: carnivores, meaning meat eaters, and herbivores, meaning plant eaters. Evidence points to modern birds having evolved from small feathered theropod dinosaurs during the late Jurassic and Cretaceous periods. Bear in mind, though, that this evolutionary process may have happened more than once, and that there were definitely some evolutionary dead ends along the way. The biggest of all carnivorous species, or meat eaters, was the Spinosaurus. The Spinosaurus, or spine lizard, lived during the part of the Cretaceous period about 97 to 112 million years ago, and roamed the swamps of what is today North Africa. Recent fossils evidence shows that the Spinosaurus was actually able to swim, and hunted its prey on both land and in the seas. The dinosaurs, like today's reptiles, were cold-blooded, meaning they needed to rely on external environments to maintain their internal body temperatures. Mammals and birds that existed alongside the dinosaurs were warm-blooded, possessing active, heat-producing metabolisms that maintained constant internal body temperature, no matter the external conditions, just like the mammals of today. Many people believe that mammals such as rodents came after the dinosaurs. The fact is, though, that early mammals lived alongside the dinosaurs. Some were able to survive even after the massive event that wiped out the dinosaurs. One of the most well-known theories for the death of the dinosaurs is the Alvarez hypothesis, named after the father and son duo Louis and Walter Alvarez. In 1980, these two scientists proposed the notion that a meteor the size of a mountain slammed into the Earth nearly 66 million years ago, filling the atmosphere with gas, dust, and debris that drastically altered the climate. We call this massive event the KT extinction, which happened at the end of the Cretaceous period, roughly 65 million years ago. Dinosaur fossils can only be found below the KT boundary, a line of sediment deposited by clay and ash that can be found in numerous locations around the Earth. While we're not 100% positive that it was an asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs, we do know that after 160 million years of walking the Earth, they vanished in the blink of an eye. In the aftermath, one relatively humble group of creatures was able to carve out a much larger footprint for itself: the mammals. These were the creatures that would one day lead to us. At some point in the past half-dozen million years, the last common ancestor of humans and the chimpanzees, our closest evolutionary species, split into two groups. One of these would lead one day to humans. Modern humans are currently thought to have appeared around 300,000 years ago, more than 65 million years after the dinosaurs disappeared. So, in a technical sense, birds are indeed dinosaurs, and we are still living with them today. We eat dinosaurs, we keep them as pets, and we collect their eggs. But just as humans have evolved far from our mammal ancestors 65 million years ago, birds have also changed significantly. Human beings are members of the primates order, which also consists of about 180 different species. At some point over the last few million years, some groups of mammals changed and evolved so much that they began to walk on two legs, invent tools, and discovered fire. It has been recently discovered that Aboriginal Australians are the oldest known civilization on Earth, dating back nearly 75,000 years. For roughly 225,000 years, primitive man roamed the Earth, hunting, gathering, and mating. In the 4.5 billion years our spaceship Earth has been circling the sun, we humans have only been its passengers for a blink of an eye. So why are we here? What caused our ancestors to crawl out of the sea so many millions of years ago? What will happen to us when we're all gone? These are the basic questions that make us human. Our attempt to understand the answers to these questions defines us as human beings. The most important thing in our journey on planet Earth is to continuously look for these answers and gain more knowledge. Maybe someday we will know where we all came from.